Hello everybody, this is Nathan. I'm back with a new game review. This time I am reviewing the epic game that has just been released, The Witcher 3. Sorry it took me so long, guys, but I've been deep playing the hell out of this game, and I wanted to find out if basically all the hype about it was actually worth it. Now, it was developed by CD Projekt Red and published, at least in America, by Warner Brothers Games. It runs off of their custom-made Red Engine 3, working with Umbra 3 physics and Speed Tree. It's been released for the Microsoft Windows, the PS4, and Xbox One, and it just came out on the 19th of May. It is a single-player RPG centered around Geralt on his quest to find Yennefer, and while it's a basic plot, everything in it is just fantastic. It's a very basic plot just to lead you through the game, but all the side quests and everything else are just so immense in size, scope, and everything. A lot of the side quests have better plots and stories and voice acting than some of the damn main plots in all of some of the other RPGs out there. So I'm actually astounded by just the overall playability and life in this game. It is an open world that is roughly 35 times larger than Witcher 2. It has multiple ecosystems and cultures, so if you go to a different town in a different city, the people will behave completely different. If you actually follow the people around in this game, they actually do stuff. This game seems to center more on having the world living and breathing than with you in it, instead of just following you. The best way to describe this game is to take Skyrim, bump it up graphics control-wise, combine it with the story better than Red Dead Redemption, and take the Monster Hunting from Monster Hunter and actually make it better and combine it into one big game, one package that overall is really, really fantastic. There's hardly no load times throughout. I mean, occasionally you might find some, but when you're out in the open world, there's really no damn load times at all. It has very dynamic weather and day effects, a working day and night cycle, which is fantastic. The living economy is really, really cool, because the economy will fluctuate and change based on location and actually anything that you do. So if you go and you kill a bunch of animals, let's say, as an example, kill a bunch of beavers down near the river. Now, this is just an example. If you kill a bunch of beavers down near the river, near a area where they actually farm beavers, you'll pretty much destroy the economy of that town, which is really, really cool. And as you see in the picture here, as you progress and you kill these giant monsters, you actually carry their damn heads around strapped to your horse like a trophy, which is really, really cool as well. The dynamic way in which you fight these creatures is really astonishing. I mean, you have to make sure your gear is up to par. You can create oils that you put on your weapons to actually help you fight these creatures. And it's not just a hack and slasher. If you just button mash, your ass will get killed pretty quick. You got to know how to use your magics, which they're called signs. It's a pretty in-depth casting system. You have 5 different signs, 5 different magics, and each one has 2 different variations. So combining your magic with your ability to parry and roll out of the way and set traps and everything else for your normal human enemies and your monster enemies makes it for a very deep and robust fighting system as well. The world is friggin' huge, and unlike some games like Skyrim, which, don't get me wrong, I love Skyrim, even though it was a large world, a lot of it you couldn't actually go through it. It was like mountain ranges and areas you could not go. So far in this, I've found very little spots where you actually cannot go. It seems to be all open world. The cities, they start off small, and then you get to some cities that are just fucking huge. I mean, you'll get lost in the cities. And now there's been some complaints with people complaining like the water textures aren't that great, and that there was a graphical downgrade when they actually finally released the game. Now, they had delayed it for several years, and the graphical downgrade, I don't have a problem with if it's actually a real reason for it. Unlike Watch Dogs that bumped it down and then you found out later there was no reason for them to do it. This, I can see why they would have to do a graphical downgrade to it, because a lot of people had issues with it, with frame rates and problems like that. I haven't had that many. There are still some parts where I call it burpage, where there's a little bit of frame rate drop, but it's nothing that actually detours you from playing the game. Now, I know when it first came out, it was really kind of bad, but they had released a couple patches since then, which took care of most of the problems. The only real problems I have that I've noticed is clipping. I have not played a game yet today that doesn't have some sort of clipping issues. This one has clipping as well. You can see enemies' arms stick to a wall. The trees, for some odd reason, you'll be outside and there'll be wind blowing, but the trees seem to be getting blowed way harder than the wind's actually blowing, to where the trees look like they're made out of like foam rubber sometimes, which doesn't detour you from the overall aesthetic of the game at all, but it really came off as kind of odd when I was playing it, but nothing that's like earth-shattering messed up. Now, they already got 2 DLCs planned for this game, and they're not free like the last content, but it's not really that bad of a package. For $30, you can get, first one is called Heart of Stone, and it'll be a 10-hour expansion to it. And the second one is called Blood and Wine, which is an additional 20 hours. So for $30, you're getting another 30 hours. Now, this is one of those games where you really don't need it. If you want it, that's fantastic, but you really don't need it. There's been some playthroughs of this where people have rushed through just the basic story, and it still takes them over 35 hours to beat it, just rushing through the main story. And if you actually sit and do all the side quests and everything in this game, you're looking at over 200 hours to actually see all the content in this game. And the other main thing about this game that's fantastic is you do not have to play the first 2 games to actually play this game and understand what the hell is going on. It even has a neat feature at the very beginning that will allow you to pick the choices from the previous games to affect this one. And the other thing is the choices you make in this game. Some of them you won't know at the time what they're going to do. It won't be until hours later in the game where you actually see the effects of your choices. And this game by far seems to have the best version of that. I played other games, like Dragon's Age and everything like that would actually give you choices, but the choices never really seem to affect that much. In this, it can affect things down from minor NPCs, the way they talk to you, to overall whole cities and just like the war that's going on and everything else. It's actually totally phenomenal. So you combine the control, which is spot on. I found a little bit of wonkiness with swimming, but I got used to it. The horseback riding, you can actually attack on horseback, which is pretty decent, but not the greatest. The fighting mechanic is phenomenal. I mean, just the way you can control your character, move, combine them with spells, upgrade your character, upgrade your weapons, your gear, the skill tree that splits into 3 different main branches of the skill tree. It's overall a very fantastic, well-played game. The voice acting is some of the best I've seen, even on minor NPC characters. The voice acting is beautiful for all the characters. So despite all the naysayers out there, this is a must-own game if you love RPGs. I guarantee if you play this game and you can get the patches to fix it from the start, you will not be disappointed. This game I give a 9.5 out of a 10. And the only reason why I'm not giving it a perfect score is because of the clipping issues, and occasionally you'll have that problem with the tree. But other than that, this hands down is one of the best games out there. Go get it.